I got my honey here, and I'm not afraid to light it on fire.
You better be careful.
Ah.
Welcome to Crosscut, home of the Crosscut. May I take your order?
Wrong episode, Josh.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to Crosscut. I'm your co-host, Josh.
And I'm your other co-host, Chris.
And today we're taking a look at the greatest B movie ever made. No, I'm not talking about B movie as in some sort of weird 80s monster movie. I'm not talking about B movie as in that animated Jerry Seinfeld thing from like 2007. We're talking about the greatest movie ever involving bees, The Beekeeper,
The
starring
beak.
Jason Statham, the greatest action star ever, or at least of the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's Transporter himself.
Yeah, that's not what I remember him from. If I were to remember Jason Statham as like an iconic thing, I'd go with like I don't know, maybe more of like his Fast and Furious, or I almost want to say like
Really?
Expendables. Yeah. I mean, Transporter is just so old, like at this point. Like, when was the last time he did a Transporter movie?
Wondering if you wouldn't mind transporting something for me. No questions asked. Why not?
Or Crank. You ever see Crank?
Yeah, well, I saw Crank 2, actually. So,
Crank 2 with the horse.
Friction? I'll give you friction.
yeah, yeah, the horse and his heart.
Anyways,
Anyway.
anyways, let's get back on track. But I mean, Jason Statham, he's been doing a ton of movies like in this last year alone. He was in the Meg 2, he was in the last Fast and Furious for like
Mhm.
5 seconds, and now he's in this, The Beekeeper, which was funny because the first time I saw the poster for this movie,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that poster. I'm like, oh, this looks like a serious drama. And then I remember seeing that first trailer. I'm like, oh no,
It
this is
shows
not a.
very It is very dramatic, like in the first things you see in the trailer.
Yeah, it's almost looks like a nice English setting, and it could be some sort of family drama going on, and then there's some chick with like a machine gun on the back of her pickup truck, and
Honey?
dudes just killing each other. So I'm like, oh, this is definitely not the movie I thought it was gonna be. But I said, you know what? I'd go check it out anyways. I mean, what else is there to go see? So yeah, and honestly, The Beekeeper was everything I expected it to be. It had the wacky side characters, especially that one dude at the end at the mansion. I don't know what the hell he
Um,
was saying. Every line out of his mouth I was incoherent to me, but he was funny. Me and
yeah,
my
that
friend were
like
laughing every time. He was like the Irish or Scottish guy.
yeah, he's got like a Cockney accent or something. Like you can barely understand every other word, but
I
he's
mean,
funny.
I was laughing every time he was on screen. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
I don't know who he was, where he came from. I At this point I was just like, okay,
he's
it's
just
just one of
from
those
West.
weird people that show up in movies and are just outrageous and
Yeah,
cool. This movie had a lot of fun side characters.
I
I will
I
give it that.
yes, I admit like that. Like for one thing, when I went to the theater, I went to see it with Chris. It's just two. And we were laughing our heads off at everything. It was like, oh, yeah. Especially with like, I think the scene that got us both immediately was the severed fingers.
Oh, sure.
I was
Yeah.
like, ee, okay, all right.
There's
So,
a actually what's funny is that this movie has about like 17 production company logos that I like
oh yeah,
every there were so many. There's like a Joe Family Guy. It's like the movie starting, but then it's just another production company logo. That was me watching this movie. I was like, all right, and the movie starting, and it's another production company.
I
Okay.
know. I was like, okay, it's MGM, Miramax. Okay, cool. Then the rest came.
And yeah, another 20 minutes of that. But
I
I
would,
want to go through the cast of characters that
all
Jason
right,
Statham just basically wipes out in this movie, starting with our I don't know what to call him. I guess our like millennial. I don't know. This dude was just hamming it up.
Josh
The I
Hutcherson or
No. Josh Hutcherson's great. I love Josh Hutcherson. No, the first guy that he takes
oh,
down.
the like
The guy that
manager or
basically
whatever.
starts all this stuff. Yeah.
Will you stomp his ass out?
I don't know. He just seemed like he was hamming it up, but I wish they didn't put that scene in the trailer where he straps into the car and he just goes flying.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
that was definitely one of the fun parts of the movie. And unfortunately, you get it's spoiled in the trailer, but it still was fun seeing that.
It was
And he's the one that gets the finger severed too, so he's that guy.
right. Right. But when you first see him, I think like, oh God, this is such a straight up douche. I'm like, can
Yeah,
we please let him be the first one he kills? Please, please. Because
right.
the more he talked, the more annoying he got. And he was more annoying than the second manager that he goes after.
The second manager's great, the freaking Italian mafia kind of guy.
The
Who's just,
staplers.
I mean,
Ow, ow, ow.
yeah, that was good. Just keeps hitting him with the staplers. That's great. But that for that first guy, man, he goes in the barn. He's got like his four
Mhm.
goons with him, and he's just the most, confident guy ever. And then they're all dead, and he's just the biggest little pussy that you've ever seen.
Oh, definitely. It was like, come on. Now, when you talking about Josh Hutcherson's character, I mean, I don't know why it, I did not like it. Like,
It's an odd take for him. I don't know. It didn't quite fit
yes,
100%.
it's
I
odd
still
for
liked
him.
him because I like him, but it was not. I don't know. It was
I
just
like
kind of like a. I don't know. It was okay. He was all right.
exactly. I like the actor himself, but I don't know. The character was just too much for him, I guess. It was just weird, and I didn't. It felt like his character was doing too much, or he was doing so much for the actor that didn't really like give it that wow factor. And I was like, okay, he looks like just like a punch rich kid who tries to make his empire. And
Hmm.
even at the end of the movie, when he spills the beans of like, this is why you got elected because I got you the money and all that stuff. Like, so doesn't look like
Yeah.
you would do that, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah. The one thing I did, after the movie, I went and saw it with a couple of my buddies, and I was telling them the one thing I'll give this movie credit, they could have done it so cliche. So there's supposed to be, I guess, a reveal that the mom ends up being the president, and that's why they're so powerful. So he has to take
Mhm.
down basically the president. And I think there was supposed to be like a big twist, but it's really not that big of a twist. I don't
It
know. It
really
seemed like they
isn't.
kind of set it up, but it's not really a huge payoff. Um, Anyways, I will give them this. They could have made her the type of like villainous character at the end where she's like,
Mhm.
"No, I'm not going down," and she like also takes out a gun and she gets shot. But instead, she's actually just like, "I'm just gonna tell the truth. I don't care what happens to me, and I'm just
Yeah,
gonna whatever." And I'm like, you know what? Good for you, movie. You didn't make her the mustache twirling villain because
yeah.
that's Josh Hutcherson. Ultimately, Josh Hutcherson would be the ultimate. If there was like an antagonist, it's him. The mom's not in it that much, so if you were to just make
Yeah.
her, that would just been like a weird add-on.
You know
But
what
that's
have
what
been
like movie cliches would have done, which would make her just grab a gun and start to shoot people. But they didn't do that, and I respect them for that.
all right. But in a way, I kind of wished uh Jeremy Irons' character was more, even if it
I
was
was shocked that he wasn't like when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, Jeremy Irons, he's going to be the big bad in all this, and he's
right.
not. He's just kind of like an advisor. He's not really involved in any of the
He's just in the
shenanigans that's going
background.
on.
Yeah, he's in the background, and I with his like ex CIA director, I expected him to be a lot more evil in a way.
Yeah,
Like maybe
and he's really
he's
not.
actually the
He's just
mastermind, not Josh Hutcherson.
right. Yeah, and you know what? Maybe you don't like that. I kind of actually like that as well. They kind of divert from what you might expect because you're thinking like, oh, Jeremy Irons, he's clearly the bad guy, and he really isn't. But because of that, Josh Hutcherson's not the greatest villain.
No, he's not.
Maybe Jeremy Irons, if they reworked his character, would have been a better villain because he's a great just character in general, just a great actor in general that he would have played a great villain.
Mhm.
So, but what can you do? Jeremy Irons, the worst that happens to him is I think he gets his hand broken or something, or his finger
Yeah, that was
snapped or
another thing.
something.
Like, yeah, he breaks his fingers and like, oh, that's what gets him. That's it.
That's it. That's
Like
all.
this
That's
big
all.
bad ex CIA director getting all the mercenaries.
Oh, mercenaries. Oh, sure. Well, that's the thing is Jeremy Irons isn't supposed to be this like brute force guy. He's more of the smart guy. He's the genius. He's the guy in the desk who's calling the shots. He's not going to be the guy that's going to go out and
I know.
start, ripping heads off and stuff.
I know.
And it's
I
Jason Statham, man. He's going to kill anybody in sight.
Sure. And that's another thing. It's like watching a John Wick movie on steroids with a
That's
lot
funny.
more
That's what my
gore.
friend said. Yeah, my friend said that when we were watching. He's like, "Oh, it's like John Wick." There's even the part where they, have like the hitman kind of thing to go after him, which
Yeah.
really is only just one scene of him at the gas station, and the girl shows up. He kills her, and then that's that. All right, nobody else is after him, I guess. Or well, then he brings in the Navy SEALs. I think. I think that was after that.
Right, because the beekeepers like pulled out. I was like, oh yeah, you just killed our
Right.
top performer. And yeah, we're staying neutral.
Right.
But that's another
Exactly.
thing. I wish they explored more about the beekeepers themselves. All that organization. They never really did. And
No, that's
another
for the
thing,
sequels.
if there is a sequel, sure. Like another thing is his backstory. It never gets explained. Like how did he end up on her farm land, whatever?
This movie
Why?
does start. This movie's very fast in the beginning. Like it really gets to the point, like fast. Like the
Mhm.
first interaction with him and this woman who ultimately is kind of the catalyst of why he starts going on a
Right.
revenge tour is because she was like very nice to him. But
Hmm.
it literally like this is like the first interaction. Like they could have gave that a little bit more room to breathe and set that up a little bit more instead of just like boom right away. Oh, you want to come over for dinner? And bad stuff happens. They
It's
could have let it breathe a little bit more in the beginning.
they could have added a little build up with a backstory or some conversation between them two
There
instead
could
of
have been more
just
interactions. Yeah, there could have been
right.
more there. Yeah,
Instead of just, oh, you took care of me. Why? Why?
sure. Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's just sloppy writing, just, what can you
It's
do?
it's more like if what was he said he retired from the beekeepers. Is that his way of like saying they exiled him or something like that and he had to go into
Sure.
hiding? Like,
Right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the reason you're gonna go watch this movie. It's the action.
oh
What did
yeah.
you think of the action, Chris? I thought it was okay.
I like the
You know, for
action.
for an
I like that
R-rated
he was
movie, I thought there could have been more of those like ooh moments where he's just like killing people. I thought some of the kills were not as creative as like a John Wick movie.
that, yes. But that's the whole thing, I think, because he wasn't trying to kill anybody at first.
Oh yeah, no, you realize like when it's like the SWAT guys, he's shooting them in the bulletproof vest.
Right.
But
Right.
some of those other guys, I did like that fight scene between him and the incoherent Scottish guy or whatever. That was
No,
a pretty good fight
that was
scene with all
pretty
the
good.
they're in like that hallway with like all the like glass smears or whatever. So that was
And
actually pretty cool.
And if you notice, like he doesn't really kill anybody until like they go after him in his like shed, whatever,
Right.
and then at the end of the movie, all the rest of it really is just knocking them out.
Well, except for that chick at the gas station.
Well,
That's
except
he
for
was
her,
knocking her
well,
out.
yeah, set her on fire with a
And I also
good
said
old
that
honey.
that poor gas attendant who probably was working there also died.
Probably unless he fled.
So here's my biggest disappointment with the movie
Hmm.
because it's a movie that's called The Beekeeper and he didn't kill anybody with any bees
Why would you?
because it would have been amazing. It's a movie that's called The Beekeeper. He's
Exactly.
got
Beekeeper.
bees. Yeah,
You
he
don't
should have
use
used.
bees,
You can,
but then they die.
fine. It still would have been badass. It still would have been cool.
I mean, it would have
I
been
was
cool to see if like a swarm of bees got onto someone, like he released them.
exactly that's what I wanted, but
I
no.
know,
There's no bees,
but
and for the after the first act, they all disappear.
but they kind of explain it too, because we need the bees to balance our ecosystem, and besides, he's a beekeeper. He protects the bees. He's not gonna send them off to die.
Stop! I am one of you!
Well, he should have, because it'd been more entertaining that way. Anyways, so what did you think of the intense metaphors that this movie was with all the queens? And that was the part that was making me and my friends laugh the most, was all these unnecessary metaphors that he was giving.
They were funny. 'Cause it wasn't. I think the FBI girl said more of those metaphors than he did.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of the funny things for me. It's just that every crime scene, they would always show up right at the end. Like
Hmm.
after everything was gone, like they're always just two steps behind. They always just show up and there's just more death and destruction.
But
Yeah.
it's funny. Her partner, he's like so chill about everything. He says some like quick lines that it's funny. Like, oh, okay. Now we know what kind of partner he is. Or like at
I
the
thought there was
end.
gonna be a reveal that he was like in on something and like he was like
Mm,
two timing her or something like that. He was gonna be revealed to because there's like that little meeting that they have over like Zoom with the one
right.
guy who I also thought maybe was going to be like there was going to be some reveal at the end, like there's just some shady stuff going
Yeah,
on.
I thought so too, because he was like so easy to give like everything to her. Okay, you want to swatch? Sure, go ahead. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought
huh?
there was going to be some sort of like reveal, which again, I'm kind of glad there wasn't just because it just didn't really it just wouldn't have made sense. It would just been like a
Mhm.
cheap, cop out. But I thought that was interesting. Like, yeah, I thought there was going to be a reveal with the partner because he has some kind of line in the conference room where he says something like, blah, 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 and she kind of gives him a look, and that made me think like, is he in on something? But no, ultimately not.
Yeah, you see that and with him and also the her partner too in the beginning, but then it was like, okay, I think he's just there.
Yeah,
But I
he was
did
just there.
laugh at the moment where uh he encounters Jason Statham and he just kind of just knocks him down and he pretends like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I survived him. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is evidence now. Really?
Should get a T-shirt. I survived Jason Statham. He is the unstoppable force in this movie.
Huh.
He's the shark in Jaws. You just can't kill him, man. He's the Terminator. Like that they kind of set him out to be that. Like they could have had more flaws. There could have been more. I don't know.
I
He
expected
just
more like injuries on him,
yeah. Like
cuts
he
or
could have got
something. But he
shot or
like
yeah.
s-
No, he's just
not a scratch until the very end.
pretty much yeah. Doesn't he? He got shot somewhere, didn't he?
No, he
Or
got
stabbed or
stabbed.
yeah, he got stabbed. That's right. He got stabbed.
He got stabbed in the gut and sliced on the arm, and that was
Right.
it.
Right. By the incoherent Scottish guy who had one leg and
Yeah.
uh, choppy sideburns. Yeah, that guy.
And he still put on a wetsuit like if it was nothing. Like, oh,
The movie kind of ends abruptly too. Just like, oh, that's over. Okay,
yeah. I
all
guess it
right,
is to set
cool.
up the sequel. He gets away, the beekeeper always does his mission and goes out.
I guess so. Beekeeper 2, honey season. That'll be coming next year.
Funny season.
Jason Jason Statham, man. I mean, the movie did okay. It made some money, so who knows? It can make some more.
Oh,
Miramax.
yeah. Well, I mean, I enjoyed it. This pure Jason Statham action, you know?
It's a fun movie. It
Yeah,
is fun. It's the perfect January movie because but Beekeeper is a lot of fun.
it
It'll
is.
entertain you for the week. It'll keep you satisfied for that weekend movie
Hmm.
until whatever comes out next week. But yeah, Beekeeper is kind of what you will expect. Well, not when you see the poster like I did, but when you see the trailer, it literally is just an extended version of the trailer. There's a lot of fun scenes, not a lot of character development, not a ton
Not
of
really.
emotional. The setup is supposed to be emotional. It's like poor old woman
Hmm.
kills herself, but you really just don't care because you
I
don't
feel
know
like
who
that's
she
the only
is.
I feel like that's the only dramatic part of the movie.
Yeah, and it's just done so abruptly, but it's
Mm.
really just a revenge movie. It's John Wick as if he was doing a revenge tour
Yeah.
with some honey. And that's my review of The Beekeeper starring Jason Statham. Go check it out in theaters if you can.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Chris is gonna pour me a shot of honey.
How about a whole goblet?
Mmm.
All right, let me get you a lot. Give me a lighter.
You wanna go blow up a gas station?
No, I want to blow up a call center.
Oh, great. Let's do it.
I got my two gasolines, buckets of gasolines.
All right. Well, you heard it from Chris. We're gonna go do some arsony and probably get arrested. Thanks for watching. Have a nice night.
Cup print, moving on. Bzzz.